The ignored signal, the deep space exploration vessel Determination, drifted silently through the void, its hull gleaming under the distant light of the Calthara system's twin suns. Captain Alina Vasquez stood on the bridge, her weathered hands gripping the command rail as she stared at the massive structure floating before them. The ancient space station was unlike anything humanity had ever encountered. Its crystalline spires twisted impossibly through space, pulsing with an inner light that seemed to breathe with life itself. "Captain, we're receiving no response to our standard first contact protocols," reported Dr. Marcus Chen, the ship's xenobiologist and lead diplomat. His voice carried the frustration of 3 days of failed communication attempts. "We've tried every frequency, every mathematical sequence, even basic pictographs. Nothing." Alina nodded grimly. The Determination had been humanity's first deep space exploration vessel to venture beyond the outer rim of known space. Their mission was simple in concept but complex in execution: find other intelligent life and establish peaceful contact. What they had found was this magnificent but silent monument to an alien civilization that refused to acknowledge their existence. "What about the probe data?" Alina asked, turning to her science officer. Lieutenant Torres looked up from her console, her face illuminated by the blue glow of the holographic displays. "The station is definitely inhabited, Captain. We're detecting massive energy signatures, organized movement patterns, and what appears to be a complex communication network. But it's all internal. They're not broadcasting anything outward." "Commander?" Sarah Blake, the ship's weapons officer, stepped forward. Her military bearing was evident in every movement, a reminder of her years serving in Earth's defense force before joining the exploration program. "Captain, with respect, maybe they're not responding because they don't see us as a threat. In military terms, we're a single light cruiser approaching a fortress. Maybe they're just not concerned enough to bother." Alina considered this. The Determination was indeed small compared to the massive alien structure. Their ship was designed for exploration, not conquest. Its weapons were minimal, meant primarily for asteroid clearing and self-defense against space debris. To a civilization capable of building something like the station before them, humanity might appear as insignificant as insects. "Captain," Dr. Chen interjected, "I have to advise against any aggressive posturing. First contact protocols are clear. We must appear peaceful, non-threatening. The last thing we want is to start an interstellar war because of a misunderstanding." Alina respected Chen's expertise, but she was beginning to question whether their peaceful approach was working. 3 days of polite attempts at communication had yielded nothing but silence. Meanwhile, their supplies were running low, and Earth Command was expecting regular reports. The bridge fell silent except for the gentle hum of the ship's systems. Alina closed her eyes for a moment, thinking of her daughter back on Earth, of the billions of humans who were counting on this mission to open up the galaxy for peaceful expansion. She had not become humanity's first deep space captain by being indecisive. "Movement on the station," Captain Torres announced suddenly. "Something large is launching from the lower docking bay." The main viewer shifted to show a sleek vessel emerging from the alien station. It was roughly twice the size of the Determination, with a design that suggested both elegance and power. The ship's hull seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal, and energy patterns danced across its surface. "Are they coming to us?" Alina asked. "No, Captain," Torres replied, her voice puzzled. "They're moving past us. Their trajectory suggests they're heading for the outer system." Alina watched in growing frustration as the alien vessel glided past them without so much as a sensor sweep in their direction. It was as if the determination didn't exist at all. "Captain, 2 more vessels launching," Torres reported. "Same pattern. They're completely ignoring us." Commander Blake stepped closer to Alina and lowered her voice. "Captain, this is becoming a problem. We can't establish diplomatic relations with a species that won't even acknowledge our existence. And from a tactical standpoint, being ignored can be just as dangerous as being threatened." Alina knew Blake was right. In her years of military service before joining the Exploration Corps, she had learned that being dismissed could be more dangerous than being feared. An enemy who ignored you was an enemy who might decide to eliminate you without warning, simply because you were in the way. "Dr. Chen, what's your assessment of their behavior?" Alina asked. The xenobiologist frowned, consulting his datapad. "It's difficult to say without understanding their psychology, but there are a few possibilities. They could be a highly advanced species that considers us beneath their notice. They might have strict protocols about contact with primitive species. Or, ... double quotes, he paused, considering. Or, Alina prompted, or they might be testing us, seeing how we respond to being ignored. Some Earth cultures have similar behaviors. The silent treatment can be a form of communication itself." Alina felt a spark of understanding. She had grown up in a military family where respect was earned through strength and determination. Her father had taught her that sometimes the only way to get someone's attention was to make them take notice. "Commander Blake, what's our weapons status?" Alina asked. Blake straightened. "We have 6 long-range missiles, defensive pulse cannons, and a small complement of mining charges. Nothing that would threaten that station, but enough to make a statement." Dr. Chen's eyes widened. "Captain, you're not seriously considering..." "I'm considering all options, Doctor," Alina cut him off. "We've tried polite, we've tried patient. Maybe it's time to try something else." She turned to address the bridge crew. "Listen carefully. Everyone, we're about to make a decision that could change the course of human history. We can continue sitting here being ignored, or we can find a way to make them notice us." Engineer Jake Morrison, who had been quietly monitoring the ship's systems, spoke up. "Captain, I've been analyzing their technology. Those ships that passed us. They're armed, but they're not configured for long-range combat. They're more like patrol vessels. And the station itself, while impressive, doesn't show the energy signatures I'd expect from a military installation." "What are you suggesting, Jake?" Alina asked. "I'm suggesting that maybe they're not ignoring us because they're hostile. Maybe they're ignoring us because they're curious, like they're waiting to see what we'll do." Alina nodded slowly. It was a risk, but everything about this mission was a risk. Humanity had reached a crossroads. They could continue to expand slowly and cautiously, or they could take bold steps into an uncertain future. "Commander Blake, I want you to prepare a targeting solution for the empty space directly in front of that station. Not at the station itself, but close enough to get their attention." Blake's face remained professionally neutral, but Alina could see the approval in her eyes. "Understood, Captain. What type of ordnance?" 2 missiles, minimum yield, proximity detonation. I want to create a light show they can't ignore." Dr. Chen stood up abruptly. "Captain, I must formally protest this action. First contact protocols, Doctor." "Chen," Alina interrupted, her voice carrying the authority of command. "First contact protocols assume the other party is willing to participate in first contact. We're not attacking them, we're getting their attention." She turned to the communications officer. Lieutenant Kim, prepare a message for broadcast on all frequencies. Text and mathematical sequences. The message is simple. Greetings. We come. In peace, we seek communication. Message prepared, Captain, Kim replied. Alina took a deep breath. This was it. The moment that would either open the galaxy to humanity or potentially make them enemies of an advanced alien civilization. Commander Blake, fire the missiles. Missiles away, Captain. The bridge crew watched in tense silence as 2 points of light streaked across the void toward the alien station. Alina had calculated the trajectory carefully. The missiles would detonate in space, creating a brilliant display of light and energy that would be impossible to ignore, but would pose no threat to the station or its inhabitants. Impact in 10 seconds, Blake announced. Alina found herself holding her breath. Around her, the bridge crew was equally silent. This was humanity's first aggressive act toward an alien civilization, and no one knew what the consequences would be. 5 seconds, ... 4, ... 3, ... 2, ... 1. Detonation. The view screen flared with brilliant light as the missiles exploded in synchronized bursts. The energy bloomed across space like twin flowers of fire, their light reflecting off the crystalline surfaces of the alien station. For a moment, nothing happened. The station continued its slow rotation, its internal lights pulsing in their steady rhythm. Alina began to wonder if even this dramatic gesture would be ignored. Then everything changed. The station's lights suddenly blazed brighter, and the entire structure began to hum with visible energy. Across its surface, patterns of light began to dance and shift, creating complex geometries that hurt to look at directly. Captain Torres announced, her voice tight with excitement and fear. We're detecting massive energy buildup throughout the station. And Captain ... something's happening in the outer system. Alina turned to the tactical display. What she saw made her blood run cold. Space itself seemed to be tearing open as massive shapes began to emerge from what could only be hyperspace portals. One ship, then another, then dozens, then hundreds. They were larger than anything humanity had ever imagined, their hulls dark and threatening, bristling with weapon systems. My God, whispered Dr. Chen. What have we done? Alina stared at the growing fleet of alien warships, each one capable of destroying the Determination with a single shot. She had wanted to get their attention. It seemed she had succeeded beyond her wildest expectations. Captain, Lieutenant Kim announced, his voice shaking slightly. We're being hailed. Multiple ships, multiple frequencies. There. All trying to communicate with us at once. Alina straightened her uniform and smoothed her hair. Whatever happened next, she would face it with the dignity befitting humanity's first deep space captain. On screen, Lieutenant. Let's see what we've started. The view screen shifted to show the bridge of one of the alien vessels. What Alina saw there would change everything she thought she knew about first contact, diplomacy, and the nature of communication itself. Asterisk, the language of fire. The alien face that appeared on the view screen was unlike anything in humanity's imagination. The being was tall and imposing, with features that seemed carved from living stone. Its eyes glowed with an inner fire, and when it spoke, its voice carried the weight of authority and something Alina couldn't quite identify. Was it amusement? Human vessel, the alien commander said, the words translated by their universal communication. System, you have spoken in a language we understand. We greet you in kind. Alina stepped forward, her heart hammering against her ribs. Behind her, she could hear Dr. Chun's sharp intake of breath. I am Captain Elena Vasquez of the Earth vessel Determination. We come seeking peaceful contact between our species. The alien being's face shifted in what might have been a smile. I am Admiral Kethva of the Vorthok Empire. And you, Captain Elena Vasquez, have just passed the first test. Test, Alina asked, though she was beginning to understand. For 3 cycles, we have watched your kind expand into the void. Always cautious, always seeking to appear harmless. Your species sends exploration vessels armed with mining equipment and defensive weapons, then approaches our territories with offers of peace and friendship. Kethva leaned forward, his eyes intensifying. But peace without strength is merely surrender waiting to happen. Commander Blake stepped up beside Elena. You are testing our resolve. Indeed, Kethva acknowledged. The galaxy is not a place for the weak or overly cautious. When your vessel arrived and began transmitting mathematical sequences and peaceful greetings, we classified you as another species seeking to placate rather than engage. We have encountered many such races. Most are absorbed by stronger civilizations. Within a generation, Alina felt a chill run down her spine. You're saying that by trying to appear peaceful, we were actually endangering our species. Not endangering, Kethva corrected, dooming. The galaxy operates on principles your species seems to understand instinctively, but your leaders attempt to suppress. Strength, courage, and the willingness to act decisively when necessary. These are the qualities that ensure survival. Dr. Chen stepped forward, his scientific curiosity overcoming his diplomatic caution. But surely peaceful cooperation is preferable to constant conflict. Kethva's expression grew more serious. Doctor, peaceful cooperation is indeed preferable. But it can only exist between equals. When one party is significantly stronger than the other, cooperation becomes domination. We have learned this through millennia of experience. Alina was beginning to understand the larger picture. So when we fired those missiles, you demonstrated that humanity possesses the most important quality for survival in this galaxy. The willingness to take action when words fail. Kethva's image shifted as he gestured to someone off-screen. Your missiles were harmless to our station, but they carried a message clearer than any diplomatic transmission. You were saying, we are here. We cannot be ignored. We demand recognition. Commander Blake nodded approvingly. It was a show of force without aggression. A demonstration of capability without hostility. Exactly, Kethva confirmed. And now we must discuss what comes next. The Vorthok Empire is part of a coalition of species that believe in strength through unity. We do not seek conquest for its own sake, but we refuse to allow our territories to be threatened by weak or indecisive neighbors. Alina sensed an opportunity. What are you proposing? We propose that humanity join the Galactic Defense Coalition. You would maintain your independence and your territories, but you would also gain the protection and resources of allied species. In return, you would contribute your unique strengths to the common defense. And what strengths would those be? Alina asked. Kethva's expression grew thoughtful. Humans are unusual in several ways. You possess advanced technology despite being a relatively young species. You show remarkable adaptability and creativity in solving problems. And most importantly, you have the courage to act when action is necessary, even when the outcome is uncertain. Engineer Morrison, who had been quietly listening, spoke up. What about other human vessels? Are there others like us out there? Several, Kethva confirmed. Most continue to broadcast peaceful intentions while maintaining safe distances from our territories. But you are the first to demonstrate that humanity can be more than merely another cautious species seeking protection. Alina felt the weight of the moment. The decision she made here would affect not just her crew, but potentially the entire future of human expansion into the galaxy. Admiral Kethva, I need to understand something. If we had continued broadcasting peaceful messages and waiting for a response, what would have happened? Kethva's expression grew somber. Eventually, we would have classified your species as non-threatening and ignored you indefinitely. When aggressive species inevitably encountered your exploration vessels, we would not have intervened. Humanity would have been left to face the galaxy alone, and your peaceful nature would have made you easy prey. Dr. Chen looked troubled. But there must be other peaceful species that have survived and thrived. Yes, Kethva acknowledged, but they survived because they were either extremely advanced when they encountered galactic civilization, or because they had powerful allies from the beginning. Humanity is advanced, but not beyond the reach of aggressive species, and until today you had no allies. Alina understood now. The galaxy was not the peaceful community of species that Earth's diplomats had imagined. It was more like a cosmic version of international relations, where strength and alliances determine survival. What would joining your coalition mean in practical terms? She asked. Protection during your expansion phase. Access to technologies and resources that would take your species centuries to develop alone. And most importantly, recognition as a legitimate galactic civilization rather than a curiosity to be eventually absorbed. Commander Blake asked the question Alina knew they were all thinking. And the cost? Participation in mutual defense. When coalition territories are threatened, all members contribute to the response. Your species would be expected to honor its commitments and stand with its allies. Alina looked around at her crew. She saw determination in Blake's eyes, curiosity in Dr. Chun's expression, and eager anticipation in Morrison's face. These were humanity's best, and they were ready for whatever came next. Admiral Kasvar, I cannot speak for all of humanity, but I can speak for this crew and this ship. We are interested in learning more about your coalition. Excellent, Kethva replied. But first, there is one more test. Elena's heart sank. Another test, not a test of your courage or resolve. Those you have already demonstrated. This is a test of your judgment and wisdom. Kethva's image moved as he gestured to something beyond the view screen. 3 of our patrol ships will escort you to our nearest base. During the journey, you will be given access to our historical records, our technology databases, and our intelligence reports on galactic threats. You will learn what joining the coalition truly means, and then you will decide whether humanity is ready to take its place among the galaxy's great civilizations, or whether you prefer to remain isolated and vulnerable. Alina nodded. We accept. Good. But Captain, understand this. Once you begin this journey, there is no returning to ignorance. You will learn things about the galaxy that will forever change how your species views its place in the universe. Some knowledge cannot be unlearned. Alina thought of her daughter back on Earth, of the billions of humans who still believed the galaxy was a vast, empty place waiting to be explored. Soon, they would learn that they were not alone, and that their survival depended on choices that would test everything they believed about peace, strength, and their place in the cosmos. Admiral Kasvar, humanity has always been a species that faces the unknown with courage. We're ready to learn. Then let us begin, Kethva said. Welcome to the galaxy, Captain Alina Vasquez. May your species prove worthy of the trust we are placing in you. As the communication ended, Alina turned to her crew. Well, everyone, it looks like we're about to make history. Dr. Chen shook his head in wonder. Captain, do you realize what we've just done? We've potentially altered the entire course of human civilization. I know, Dr. Elena replied, but sometimes the boldest path is the only path forward. Outside the viewports, the massive alien fleet began to move, and the determination found itself escorted by vessels that dwarfed it in size and power. Alina watched the alien ships with a mixture of awe and determination. Humanity had just taken its first real step into the galaxy, and there was no going back. The stars seemed different now, no longer points of light in an empty void, but beacons marking the territories of civilizations that would either become allies or enemies. The age of human isolation was over. The age of human alliance had begun, and it had all started with 2 missiles and a captain who refused to be ignored.